My name is Jim Caulfield. I'm the editor and publisher of the Perry News. I'll be co-moderating tonight's event with Stephanie Cox. First, a few words about the format of the exercise here. Stephanie and I will pose questions in turn. We'll start with the city council candidates, and then alternate with questions for the mayoral candidates. We'll start with 3-minute opening statements from each candidate, and we'll close with 3-minute closing statements from each candidate. In between, the timing for the answers to each question will be 2 minutes per candidate. So everybody will have 2 minutes to answer the question. Use as much of it as you need. What else? The event is being live streamed. And for that reason, we ask that you kind of keep your talk to a minimum and whispering, really, so that the candidates themselves aren't drowned out by in the audience. Questions for the candidates have been solicited in advance, and the Granger Women's Club has very graciously provided refreshments. Without further ado, then, we will begin.
Go ahead.
Sweet, I gotta go first. This is great. No, I wanted to know my name is Clint Davis, not Clay Davis, like it showed up, I think, in the originally in Perry News. I've been called a lot of things. Usually it's Kent, but not Clay. I grew up just north of here across the bridge in Madrid. I did not make it too far. I went to Nebraska, though, to get my undergrad degree in education, where I met my lovely, possibly the nicest person on the planet wife of 24 years now, and brought her back here with me. I have 2 crazy kiddos back there I'm proud of. I got McKinley, also known as Mac for most of you here. She's a junior high school, and Cash Money is a 7th grader. We've been here for 20 plus years now, and we've seen quite a few houses and things go up. Hard to believe, but I am now in my 27th year of education. I'm a special needs teacher at a middle school in Johnston. Working hard in Madrid my whole life. My parents, probably watching now, would agree. Kind of unspoken rules of growing up was you work hard and you're a good person. And to me, I kind of took that to heart. I'm constantly preaching to my kids and the hundreds of kids that I've seen in Johnston and their families as well. I think if you work hard and you're a good person, those things pretty much take care of themselves. My decision to run for mayor has kind of been a couple years in the making. You start having conversations about things you'd like to see, like to change and whatever, but you're never quite brave enough to stand up and courageous enough to do what everybody's doing here today, to take a shot at running for an office. But after talking to community members, business owners here in the town, I felt like it was the right decision for me and my family. After making that decision, the support that my family and I have received has been overwhelming. I think it's a testament to, I guess, the kind of life we want to lead and what we'd like to bring to the town as well. If elected, I look forward to working with Kurt, the other department heads, and the leaders of this community so we can continue moving things forward.
All right, I'm Tony James. I'm the current mayor. I've been mayor. This is my 8th year now. Prior to that, I spent 3 years on the Board of Adjustments here in the city. So I grew up in Boone, graduated high school there, got an economics degree, moved to the Des Moines area, got my law degree at Drake. I've been a practicing attorney since 2009, currently working compliance. Moved to Granger in 2013. I'm married, been married 20 years. I have a son that is in 8th grade, so turns 14 in January. So just historically for me, it's always been really important to get involved in the community. So like I said, I've been with the city 11 years. If you've got kids between the ages of 11 and 15, I've probably coached them in some form of Parks and Rec, club, sports, you name it, the past 10, 12 years as well. I've started, I was on a founding board of a nonprofit here in town that is going to bridge the gap, we hope, with some of our growth and some of the needs in the community. We've raised over $50,000 for the community in the last few years. Also the president of our nonprofit Economic Development Association here in town. So for me, I enjoy serving, I enjoy helping the community. It's been fantastic watching it grow and all the great things we've done here. Just want to continue that growth and look forward to doing that.
Cool. So my name's Tyson Boss. Just to shed some light on my name, so Andrew Tyson Boss is, I guess, my government name. Most people know me by Tyson, so I go by my middle name. I lived in Granger for probably the shortest amount of time than everybody up here. I've been here for about 2.5 years. Moved from, I guess, Ankeny in the Des Moines area, but originally grew up in a small town, southeast Iowa, about 2,000 people. So I kind of know what it's like to be in a small town, which is, some of the reason why I chose a small town over, Des Moines or Ankeny. I have a wife, I'm married, she's out in the crowd. She's a high school teacher. She's been there for 3 to 4 years, I believe now. 5 years. Okay. I have a daughter, she's 17, she graduates this year, so she's in the school district as well. Let's see. The decision that I wanted to run for a position here is just, I feel like if I want to, maybe complain about the change or have thoughts on the changes and things like that are going on behind the scenes, that I need to be a part of it, or, I can't really, make those complaints or, those thoughts behind it without trying to take some sort of action. So I just want to be a positive change to the growth of the town because, inevitably this town is growing. And as long as, we do it in a good way, in a smart way, great things will happen for everybody that's here. And yeah, I just want to be a helpful part of that and make sure that, everything gets communicated well. Kind of my background, I work for a financial company. I work in quality assurance and monitoring, so that's kind of my background. And yeah, I'm just glad to be here.
I guess that brings it to me. As my name tag implies, hi, I'm Dan. I'd like to thank everybody. Thanks everyone here for being here. Thanks everybody online for tuning in tonight. This shows me, at least, that you're all invested in the future of Granger, as I'm sure I am. Dan Hall, 41 years old. We closed on our house back in 2011, so my wife and I chose Granger very diligently. Out of, at that point in time, we could have moved anywhere, but we chose Granger. Since then, I have been on many leadership roles within the community here. I was in leadership at the Methodist Church there for close to a decade, co-chairing their Council of Ministries through COVID when everything changed. And we're invested here. We have our family here. My kids have never known anything but Granger. They've never known anything but our current house. And I know for a fact that this town's brightest days are still ahead of it. And I'd like to be a part of that.
All right, my name is Chris Chichok. Had a lot of people ask how to pronounce it. If it's tough, so Chris is fine. I'm 41 years old. I live here with my wife Sam, who's in the audience, and then I have a 12-year-old daughter who chose to stay at home tonight rather than come here. She turned 12 last week, so she's in 7th grade over at the middle school. I work for an insurance company in town in compliance. I've been in the insurance industry for the last 21 years. I've been at my current company for 10 years. I grew up in a small town about an hour northeast of here. It was a small farm town with 800 people, which is one of the reasons that we wanted to come to Granger originally. My wife grew up in a small town in northwest Iowa. We wanted our daughter to grow up in a town that was, going to be small, where she could roam around and be able to ride her bike and go out and play, and we didn't have to worry about her. So That's why we chose Granger. I come from a family who's always been of service to their community. Growing up, my dad was the fire chief in town. He coached all sorts of teams, was a Sunday school teacher. My mom was an EMT. My brother started as a volunteer firefighter, EMT, became a full-time firefighter. Now he's a deputy sheriff in Marshall County. So I've always looked for an opportunity to be a part of my community and be of service. And this is something that I really feel compelled to do. So I want to be on council because my family and I love this town. We have always, we put roots down here. We have no intention of leaving. And so I want to be a part of this and help this community grow and continue to be as great as it is now. And I want, to create more transparency with the council for the community and engage with the community. I feel like, that's something that we're kind of lacking now, is that engagement between city council and the community. And I think that's something, we have a real great opportunity to improve that. And that's something I really look forward to.
I'll start with you, Clint.
Perfect.
What is the single most significant policy or development goal you would prioritize for our city during your term?
General priority. I think we have to start with infrastructure. As our tax base and our citizens, flourish in town, and we're doing everything we can to bring more business in town, I'm concerned about infrastructure-wise, are we going to be able to do it right the first time, being proactive, not reactive to the growth that are going to come. I think working with Kirk and the council previously, I think we can look at what that's going to become. I know we've got some businesses and things coming to town. I know they just built some more. There's only a few lots left. But what opportunities do these people have? Who's going to build and when? Are we prepared infrastructure-wise to build into that? Because tax dollars-wise, it's hard to grow when you got to fund and do things the right way.
Yep, sure. So I would say for me, the number one goal would be to really ramp up our development, commercial and industrial development. So the city spent a lot of time and a lot of resources recently on water. You see the new water tower. We've increased the water plant capabilities. We've made deals with Xenia locally. So we're in a position where we know where our infrastructure is needed and going to be. Now we've really got to ramp up the development. So our tax base, we want taxes for individuals to go down, right? The only way you do that sensibly is to have a lot of commercial and industrial development come in to drive up that tax base so you can do some of those things. So we have a land use plan, we have an infrastructure plan, we have a lot of work we've done in that area. And so right now we need to put the pedal to the metal, continuing to attract businesses here. We've done a great job with that the past few years. Kirk's amazing at it, building relationships. We really need to take the next step. And we've got some things planned in terms of an event with our nonprofit economic development for land use to debut our land use plan to local developers, local investors, local landowners. We're going to all get them in the same room, and hopefully some things will pop up. So really, we need to take that next step to drive up the commercial and industrial base. So
Great. Now, quick question for the council candidates. And we'll start with you, guys. How would you ensure that the council's decision-making process is transparent to the public, and how do you integrate citizen input into that process?
Sure. So, from the things that I've kind of been researching, so not being in a public position before the city council, there's obviously, certain information that you can't release to the public, and there is obviously information that you can. So I would just ensure that the information that we can release to the public be, released in an informative way where, it makes sense to everybody who doesn't understand kind of the, political jargon of city council. So, when we talk about, certain things with infrastructure and things like that, that it's, being communicated out to an understanding that if you didn't know, being in this position, what it actually meant, that it actually means something to you in an understandable way. I think there's definitely ways that we can get the community involved too by gathering feedback and, trying to figure out how we can show that feedback and how it's been, I guess, proactive in helping some of those decisions be made by, letting the community know that too, whether it's on social media and things like that. So I think there's definitely ways with technology nowadays to be more transparent with the folks of the town, and also getting that community engagement, whether it's more forums like this where people can come in and get involved. They're having questionnaires and things like that. So I definitely want to be involved in trying to create something that creates more transparency with everybody.
So the first half of the question, how to get the information out to the public. We've got to meet the public where they are. The information that is communicated to the public right now, generally that's going to be in the monthly newsletter that is included with everybody's utility bill. And we might get a post on Facebook once in a blue moon. We sure do when there is a council meeting, but only about 16 to 24 hours ahead of schedule. We have to meet the public where they are, where their conduits of information are being consumed, and that is online. Whether that be a new Twitter account or more frequent posts on Facebook, Tony's done a great job of communicating to everybody as much as he can. That his forums are going to be quarterly, and he's been diligent about that at least since May of this year that I know. But those aren't well attended. There has to be accountability on both sides of that equation. Hold us accountable, absolutely, but the public has to show up to the city council meetings. If you want to know what's going on, that is the best place to get it. That is the best source of truth for you all, is those city council meetings. I love that everyone is here right now. I wish this room was this full in all of the city council meetings that I've attended. Unfortunately, it's not. And I apologize. What was the second part of the question?
How would you integrate citizen input into
Okay.
the process?
Okay, sure. I think that's being visible out in the public. You all know what I look like now. I'm a pretty open book. Nope.
Yeah, 15 seconds.
15 seconds. If you see me, stop me. I'll talk.
So I'm going to echo a lot of what these guys have already said. We have a tremendous amount of community engagement on Facebook. I think that's somewhere that we need to be more active. Also on top of that, our website. We have a whole section of website for government that has hardly any information on it. We should be posting meeting minutes out there. We should, and I know that stuff's already posted, but we also need to be posting, more information about development and plans like that, making that readily available. And I know we've talked about that at council meetings as well, getting stuff up to date. Also, more engaging conversations at the meetings. I know a lot of times, people will come up and kind of present their information, and we do a quick vote, and that's about it. I think there needs to be a lot more question and answer. But then also, when we put out those messages about the agenda, follow that up with, hey, these are the things that we're talking about, and make sure people know what resources they have if they can't attend the meetings. Hey, you can reach out, to City Hall, you can reach out to the members of council. You have all these different avenues if you have concerns or questions. And then to echo what Dan said, be out in the public. Elected officials are there to represent the citizens that elect them. And I want to know what the citizens think and feel and are concerned about, because I can come back here and make sure that that is represented and taken into account when we make decisions.
This time we'll start with Tony. As mayoral candidates, you're both aware that Grange has experienced significant growth with the addition of the new fairway, middle school, and other development. And we've got growth on the north side too, along with commercial and industrial, there's residential development. What plans do you have to build on this momentum and to continue guiding Granger on the path of strong growth?
So yeah, that's really going to be a focus, and I'm going to use this to kind of
help answer some of those questions too, because one of the things that we've done recently is our new Parks and Rec director we hired. We hope that's going to be a community engagement hybrid position. So work more with getting out with the community, talking to the community, and that's going to free up Kirk to do more economic development, proactive economic development. So the idea is that we put our pedal to the metal there. Now, if you didn't know this, Granger has a podcast. They have a YouTube page now. We're video recording all of our meetings. That's on the YouTube page. There's all kinds of stuff that'll do that. One of the things we're going to do is add our listings for real estate, for commercial, industrial, land use plan, all on the website. Again, that community engagement position, the council and I felt that was a good thing to help with our strength of the website, so Kirk can really develop on, work on development.
Okay, so planning and zoning's done a ton of work already. Our strategic plan's already laid out. Kirk's doing everything he can to kick butt and get people in town. But I will say this, if we're asking people to invest probably $1 million+ in bringing businesses to our town, whether it's commercial real estate, and asking people to spend a couple $1,000s a month in a business loan and things like that to put in businesses that people are wanting, we have to make sure we're the people out there supporting those businesses. We can't, if somebody takes a shot and opens up a sandwich shop, a restaurant or something, we can't go one time, have a bad experience, blow it up on Facebook, and get other people not to even try, and then for you not to keep giving it a chance. Because that's what happens after 6 months. We want, but if we run up the hill to Grimes for all of our meals and all those things, we're never going to get those businesses to stay here.
All right, Dan, I'll start with you. If the mayor's focused on building on Granger's current growth, how would you as a city council member help support and advance that momentum?
I'm supposed to do as much research as I can. Obviously, if he's got proposals, then I'm going to want to know what those proposals are and be as educated as possible before any vote is cast on any piece, any payments, any action that's taken. I'd also like to take that back to as many people as I know in my community, starting with where I live over there in Windcrest and then moving outside of that to business owners that I know here in town, get their thoughts on it. If it's a representative government, I'd like to represent them. But I also don't want to stand in the way of anything. If it makes sense, then it makes sense. And not everyone is going to share the same opinions or ideas on what this town should become. So there may be some hills that need to be gone over, but at the end of the day, growth and change is coming to Granger, and it's best to navigate it together, unified, rather than trying to tear each other apart.
I would echo that as well. Engaging with my neighbors and people in town, find out what's important to them. And also keep in mind that yes, we are growing, but making sure that it's the right type of growth. I don't want to be a community, we see these towns around us that have nothing but fast food restaurants and car washes and warehouses. We don't want that here. We want, a Main Street feel. We want a place that we can go with our families and have a meal or get ice cream or go and, do activities. So making sure that that is the focus of what we're trying to bring into town. And then also, educating myself on what the benefits of each of these places are and what, that would mean for the city and for its future.
Sure. If the mayor's focused on building on Granger's current growth, how would you as a city council member help support and advance that momentum?
So the main things I'd want to do is just make sure that I'm being, finding that common ground on the reasons for, some of those decisions on growth. Maybe sometimes even challenge some of those decisions just to make sure that we're looking kind of at both sides objectively on whether or not it's the right decision, the wrong decision. Just going out to the public, kind of like what they said too as well, kind of getting their ideas and making sure that I'm listening to the feedback and bringing that back to the table as well. So we're all, trying to find that common ground on the right decisions for the town. And
you. All right, Clint, back to you. What sort of businesses do you want in Granger, and how do you foresee attracting them?
Well, that's an interesting question. We've had these conversations with my friend group, with other business owners in town. You know, what sort of things do we need here? What sort of things would we support? To not only, I guess, support the people we have here now, but how can maybe we draw from Madrid, Polk City, Woodward, people like that to get here? One of the things we've talked about is just a simple, I'm going to take the buildings at the end of town, out west of E-Bank, that commercial real estate that's out there. Imagine taking a couple of those and you turn it into a birthday type center, right? Where they got games, activities, and things for the kids. We'd have to stop going to Grimes, Pump It Up, Airtime, or whatever all those places are in Grimes, and we have that stuff right here. We'd go draw from Madrid, go draw from Woodward, that for us to have our own celebrations, parties for our kids right here in our town. I think already Vincent Road, I think they did purchase the building uptown, which is great for them. But right now, I don't think there's anybody that serves breakfast. That would be fantastic. I know we have a lot of people in town that would love to go sit down, have a cup of coffee, and talk with their friends and neighbors. I know I'd sure enjoy that as well. So.
I want the public to drive that type of thing on what kind of businesses we want to attract. I've been focusing on trying to make Granger a one-stop shop, right? So we've got the Fairway. It'd be great. We've had some preliminary discussions. It would be really good to get some medical providers in here, doctors, optometrists, dentists, things like that. If we could work that out, that would be fantastic. The idea would be your family wouldn't necessarily have to go to the Grimes and the Johnson and the West. Can we make life a little bit easier in terms of travel? I know Fairway's going to save me hours of commuting a week as it is. So, really, those are the things I'm looking for. I heard people talk about a gym a lot. It'd be nice to have some kind of gym or exercise facility locally here as well. So when I think about that, those are the types of things that come to mind first for me.
Okay, this time we'll start with Chris. Again, let me know if these are questions that were submitted by you. We are one of the highest tax communities in the metro area. Now, whether that's true or not, I personally don't know, but this is the question. What measure will you take to decrease taxes and ensure that you're a good steward of the city's tax dollars?
I think one of the best ways is to continue that growth plan. Commercial growth is a way that'll bring in a lot of money for us tax-wise. And then also evaluating the programs that we have in place, making sure that they're being run efficiently and properly to make sure that we're actually using the money that we have to the best of our ability. I know I've heard from people that there are concerns with some of the spending that's happened. And I think that needs to be factored in. We need to evaluate how our different departments and areas are spending their money and make sure that it's actually for the benefit of everyone in town so that we don't continue to drive up taxes.
Thanks.
Yeah, so taxes are a very interesting thing when it comes to, like property taxes and things like that, because while everybody would love to have kind of lower tax rates, it does have a waterfall effect that can, impact things that will eventually impact you down the road, such as, schools and things like that, where your kids are going to be going. So there's definitely a way to, I guess, look at it holistically to try to see, if there's excess spending, in other areas, and making sure that we're bringing in places that can help, pay some of that tax down. But I think we also have to be realistic with the fact that, you can't just necessarily say, for example, we're just going to get rid of, property tax without having some sort of negative effect towards the community and its growth as well. So I think, there's things we can look at, there's things we can do, and as long as we're looking at it from a holistic approach of everything that it'll impact when we do decrease things, as long as we're bringing stuff in that can kind of offset that change, there's definitely things that we can do. But I think people just also need to be conscious of, you know, the implications that can happen when you do try to decrease things like that as well.
Yeah, so I go third, so I get to pick up the crumbs. A lot of the stuff has already been said. The first thing is to decrease the tax base on residential community. You need that commercial. We need to bring in those businesses, those big hitters. Fairway's going to be great. Love to see a quick star. Just saying.
First time I've heard that.
I know. But there's also, here in recent history, we have had a lot of stuff thrust upon us that we didn't really plan on. You guys all know we have a new water tower. Didn't really plan on that, but when you're voluntold what to do by the DNR, you pretty much got to do it. So a lot of that infrastructure building and planning out for the next 10, 15 years has really been knocked out. Stuff that has not been thought of before 5 years ago. Kirk, you guys need to give him some praise here because Kirk has nailed it. And we're set up in a really good place for those commercial businesses to come in and help us out. Granger's historically been a bedroom community. We don't really have very many, or historically have not had very many businesses. We may be on the cusp of getting some more. So that's going to help us out quite a bit. And hopefully the water treatment plant is close to being paid off. That's all I got.
Meeting Monday at 6 o'clock. Here. Learn about it.
Okay.
I think it's me.
Okay. Well, this is a kind of a lengthy.
Yeah, that's a long paragraph there. I don't see that.
Granger's growth strategy is aggressive, with large developments and major infrastructure projects like the Highway 141 interchange and the new sewer and water infrastructure. With this rapid expansion, the city's debt and the residents' property taxes are intrinsically linked. What is the specific maximum increase in the city's overall general obligation debt are you willing to support over the next 4 years? And how will you guarantee that the new development revenues and not the existing homeowners will be primarily responsible for servicing that GO debt and funding the public services required by the new growth, such as the cost of increased police and fire protection?
Okay, so 3 minutes.
2 minutes.
Micro machine man processing. So what I would say is my goal would be to not increase the debt levy, right? We've worked really hard as a town, as a council, as mayor in keeping that debt levy as part of our tax levy the same and not giving you guys shock treatments up and down as we need to build things. And what I mean by that is when we have some extra room, we make double payments or triple payments or pay off debt faster than we would normally in order to keep that level. So my answer to your question is I don't want to raise the debt levy at all. I want it to be, this is as high as it's going to be. As we pay stuff down, that's where I want the impact to be on the taxes. And again, we have our financial guy in here giving us a presentation to the city council Monday at 6 o'clock. So you can get a big, thick packet of details around some of that specifics. So debt levy, we don't want to touch. We want it as high as it is right now. We don't want to get it any higher.
Yeah, I think what he's talking about is just us being fiscally responsible. You know, after talking to some council members and previous council members, you know, we need to look and make sure at every department level that every dollar that we're spending is being spent appropriately. My concern also with rapid growth is also the pressure it does put on fire, EMS, and our police department. Same thing goes for our schools, right? So I know there's a lot of open lots right now. So the next 3 to 5, there's gonna be a lot of houses coming in. I just hope we have commercial and stuff to support that as well, so we don't have to deal with that levy.
All right, Tyson. What ideas do you have to keep the cost of living reasonable in Granger, water being the main concern?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm kind of new to all this, so I don't really know what I guess we can as a city council do yet, just because, like I said, I am kind of new to this whole deal, and I plan on learning all that I can in the coming years. Yeah.
All right, no, that's good. Learning is good. Dan?
Get the water treatment plant paid off? Which apparently there is a meeting coming up on Monday. That's the biggest thing. The water treatment plant was brought online, and this is all information that I received from going to city council meetings. Anyways, it was brought online with a certain number of filters that were installed, thinking that that would take care of the majority of the issues after feedback from the community. The rest of the filters were installed. So we're up to 5 filters, I think it is. That all takes maintenance, that all takes backwashing, that all takes chemicals. The main thing is getting that thing paid off. We're still a few years off, I think, but to Tony's point that he just shared with everybody, they've been making double payments on that for quite a while now. Your sewer is not legitimately that expensive. All of that money is going to pay for the water treatment plant. And then the second question that isn't asked, I'm sure, but someone out there is probably wondering, what can we do about water quality? That's just the cards we were dealt with where we decided to dig the well, I guess. I don't have an answer for that, so.
So yeah, paying off the water treatment plant. I know at the last council meeting they were talking about, we do have scheduled decreases in that water rate that are coming up, and with those extra payments potentially getting to those sooner. But that's going to be the biggest factor in getting those costs down.
Clint, with the urban sprawl of neighboring communities, what's your plan to mitigate the impact of Granger?
That's kind of the ultimate question, right? As we have other communities pushing our way, what can we do to stand up and tell Grimes and Johnston that, stay out, this is ours, we want to be here, we want to develop this land, and we can support the development that we plan on doing. Until that time comes, I can't say exactly what I do, but I promise you I will stand tall for you guys to make sure that this stays regular with us.
Well, great news. We've got a lot of stuff done in that space, right? So we have, right now, we had a public hearing and notice annexation. We have an agreement with Johnson, moratorium agreement. We basically have locked down 121st Street West is Granger. And we have annexation plans in the work to go kind of all the way over to 121st Street, up and around Jester Lakes, and all the way up to the golf course. Anything west of that is going to be the city of Granger here in the next couple of months as we complete that work. So we did a lot of negotiating with Johnson, with Polk County, had a lot of landowners come to us and volunteer. This is all voluntary annexation, so you can do voluntary, you can do involuntary. This is all landowners that grew up in Granger, farmed in Granger, want to be a part of Granger. So that work is done. We have a great relationship with Grimes. The Heritage Foundation purchased the Brenton Slough down there. That's going to be a 1,000-acre park with trails. That's kind of a natural development buffer for Grimes. They're not going to go north of that, just cost-wise. It's just not feasible. So we're in a good shape. We're one of the rare cities that can grow north, east, south, and west, right? So we've worked with a lot of the landowners on the west side too. There's going to be probably some annexation coming west and south as well. So yeah, worked hard to complete that.
Okay. And I think, sure. Which current city policies or initiatives do you believe are the most effective and should be maintained or even strengthened?
There's been a lot of irons in the fire. I can't say if there's a strongest one, honestly, not being on council. They all have great relationships with the department heads as it is right now. Glad to hear that we have a Parks and Rec Board Director again. Or I'm sorry, not Board Director, but that position has been filled for the city. And not having a list of all of their policies, I'm not sure I can answer that question effectively, so.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I can't think of one that stands out above the others.
Yeah, same. I mean, I definitely need to look through them a little bit closer once I get closer to the process at all. I mean, I definitely think there's opportunities to look at the policies that we currently have in place and kind of compare those to, you know, maybe some that are held in Woodward, which is close to us, or things that are in Polk City, just to see how we kind of align to their policies and, you know, the towns that are, I guess, thriving on their policies and see where we can adjust with ours. But, yeah, I mean, I don't have really a great answer until I can dig a little bit deeper into the policies themselves.
Well, what about you, Tony? Going to the same question, just because you may know better. What current city policies or initiatives do you believe are the most effective and should be maintained or strengthened?
City policies. You know, I guess for me, I'd echo a lot of what we've heard from the public and up here today, and that's what we're hearing a lot from the public more recently is transparency and communication. So what can we do to increase that? Now, I mentioned our podcast, I mentioned YouTube, we're recording our meetings now, they're going up on YouTube, we're publishing our packets, I'm holding quarterly forums. We're doing a lot in that space to make sure that people are informed and are engaged. So just from a policy standpoint, open communication, it sounds like what I've been hearing is what we really need to concentrate on and perfect.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of the legwork for some of this stuff has already been done. But the part that I don't hear is, I hear a lot of internet-related items, and a lot of the folks that I've been talking to are concerned that the only time they hear something is through Facebook or social media, where maybe they don't live like most people have the touch of it. So who do we have on the ground making sure everyone is informed, not just those that are on their phones or have access to social media right away?
Great. Well, I'll just note, I mean, going to meetings takes a lot of work. It's easier just to gripe on Facebook.
All right, Chris, do you believe that the city should move forward with a new public safety building? Why or why not?
Yes, I definitely feel like we should. I know that council has said the goal was to not raise taxes, and I would agree with that. But the facilities that we have now are subpar at best. I know our police department's in a trailer. You know, our city council, city hall is usable, I guess. But I think we need to look at doing phases. Because if we want to keep growing and start the project, and we don't want to raise those taxes, we need to at least get the footprint started and start that transition so that we can start working towards that. But I definitely think it needs to be a priority in the next year or two.
Yeah, I think if we do it in a responsible way, we definitely need to do something. Yeah, like you said, the police office is in a trailer out back. You know, if we want our town to be presentable to other towns, I mean, we definitely need to have something presentable for our city hall. And yeah, I think if we do it fiscally correct, I think there's no issue with it.
Yes, we do need a new facility for all of our public works personnel. But I think we need to start from scratch. The building as it was proposed, it was never going to fit in $3 million, and I think everybody in this room can understand that. When they passed that bond referendum, yeah, we all knew that $3 million wasn't going to be enough for that. Now, there is a wish list for what that building will include. I think every item in that wish list can be scrubbed. Some of it said yes to, and some of it said no to. And to Chris's point, do a phased approach with it, and maybe build out the facility for future growth as well. when they were going through that planning phase, I approached Kirk, I think it was after one of the meetings, and I suggested, why not put the footers in the driveway just for the future building? Then you could just, instead of tearing out concrete, you can just build on top of the concrete that's already there. Yes, but it needs completely overhauled and revisited right now.
I think it's Clint's turn.
Yes, sir.
What have you done in your past experiences to demonstrate your ability to foster a cohesive business environment that also includes the community?
Business for between us and the community.
Your ability to foster a cohesive business environment by also including the community.
Okay, so being my 27th year in education, being on leadership team for over 15, so we've had to have a lot of courageous conversations about a lot of things, leading one of the largest middle schools in the state into the future where we are now. With that comes a lot of sometimes what I would consider at times heated conversations. But I think what everybody needs to remember is everybody's voice wants to be heard. And I think that's something that the town, throughout the people I've talked to, that transparency piece has kind of been lacking. So in order for us to bridge that cohesiveness, we need to be willing to talk to everybody, listen to everybody, and allow their voice to be heard. And people can have a differing opinion without the hate and the arguments and the things that it leads to on social media.
So for me, I agree in some of those communications. I think really number one for the city is to fight. So we've kind of been where we're situated in Dallas County and Polk County. We've kind of been an afterthought. We've been an afterthought to Polk County, to Dallas County, to Johnston, to the DOT. There was a study done on 141 that ended in Granger, and we weren't even part of it, right? So I've personally fought for the city. I've been in meetings with the head of the DOT and the head of Iowa Economic Development talking about Granger and the businesses and the things we got going here. I've been at the state capitol with the lieutenant governor and the funding person that manages the head of the DOT, right? So the first thing is, are you willing to have those fights for the community? And then secondly, again, what we've talked to, the desire is there, which is great for the communication and for hearing everybody out. And always have done that. My email, my phone number is on the website. It's on the flyers you got tonight. I am 100% response rate. I've never not responded to an email, a call, a text. I always will hear people out, sit at City Hall and meet with them as needed. So and we'll continue to do that as long as I'm the mayor.
All right, Tyson, I think it's you.
Sure.
All right, what changes would you like to see made to the City of Granger Comprehensive Plan for Economic Development?
Great.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, once again, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know what's all the plans. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a great answer for that other than, I'll definitely look into it once I have an idea of what it's about and, try to make some decisions on it once that happens. But, I mean, as of right now, I honestly don't have a clue what's going on.
Dan?
I echo that, but I do want a quick start.
I agree with both of those, actually. So there's so many pieces that I haven't had an opportunity to look into yet. Following November 4th, I have plans, to meet with all the current council members, Tony, Kirk, everybody, and educate myself as best as possible for the situation going forward.
Well then, how about you guys? Do you have an answer to that?
You want me to answer first? I don't know that there's any such thing, right? As a comprehensive economic development plan, we have a few different things in the city. Like one thing I would say is we have what's called a capital improvement plan. So we budget yearly, but we do have a list of things we'd like to do where we know we're going to need long term in a 5 or 10 year window. For example, I talked about our big annexation. Well, that means 110th Street is now in Granger, right? We can't push snow on 110th Street with the trucks we have. So one of the things that will have to go in our capital improvement plan is a bigger truck that can move snow, right? Things like that. So we had that plan. The last one that we did was 2018. The only thing that's not done yet is the public safety building. So that's a good thing. We want to get that done. Did I mention we're going to talk about that Monday at 6? But we also have our land use plan, which is how the council and the city envisioned the land surrounding Granger to be in terms of residential versus commercial versus industrial. So again, that is completed as well. So there's a lot of different pieces that go into that. It's not an easy answer even if you knew what was happening. Right? So.
Right, I think with all those things already being in place, ultimately it comes down to funding and where's that money coming from. That would be my biggest concern. And anytime, anybody takes over any sort of anything, whether it's personal finances or business or whatever, first thing you're gonna look at the books, right? Is what do our books look like and where can we scrub, so to speak, some of those things and make better choices moving forward.
That was called a gotcha. Okay, I think it's Dan's.
I think it's Dan too.
What do you see as the biggest challenge for Granger, and what do you think needs to be done to correct it or embrace it?
Discernibly, it's going to be the communication between leadership of this town and the town itself. Granger's got a lot of good things going for it. A lot of good things going for it. You won't read about that on the Woodward Granger Moms page, on the Granger Community page, on the Granger Great and Gripes page. You will not see any of that. We've got to get better about letting the citizenry know what this town is actually doing. The second half of that is this town needs to do more for its citizenry. I would love to backtrack the recently updated policy and procedure for the lawn refuse pickup. I would love to see the 4 acres that is sitting not even a block away from us as some sort of a splash pad or something like that in the future. But this town doesn't know about that type of stuff. We've got to get better about communicating that to the citizenry and let them know.
For me, it's engagement between the leadership of the town and the citizens of the town. There has been a lot of tension over the last number of months. We've all seen it, we've all been a part of it and heard about it. We need to work to fix that. If this town wants to be successful, the leadership of the town and the people of the town need to work together. And we need to find a way that we can do that. I think with things like the podcast that have started, we can start to have that engagement. We can have more conversations in a public way that are going to be healthy and productive for everybody. We can answer more questions. We can, make sure that everybody is getting the information and not, hearsay from Facebook that, most of the time is not correct. So to me, engagement is the top thing that we need to work on. And just the council and leadership being out with the people at different community events and things like that, making ourselves available for conversations and questions and planning for what's ahead.
So I think both things are great too as well. I think one of the biggest challenges for Granger is also making sure that we're looking forward. I think a lot of it's, dwindling in things that have happened in the past, and we need to see how we can just move forward and do better. The communication with the town is definitely one of those things. I also think, it's also a two-way street as well, as kind of spoke to before, we'll hold those open forums and those town hall meetings, but people also need to make sure that they're showing up to as well. So just having the back and forth with the community is definitely going to be a big challenge. But I definitely think that there are things that we can do, just like the podcast and everything else that's slowly starting to grow here to get that communication out. We're on the right path. There's some things that we can do better. And I just want to help figure that better out for everybody.
Clint, what volunteer work have you done for the community in the past 5 years? And this is a two-part. What organization or community service have you been a part of that would reinforce your commitment to the community?
My arm would say the thousands of pitches and passes that I've thrown to the children of this fine town. That's, as a teacher, I treat every student as if my own. Any student that's walked into my yard, any child, my kid's age or younger, that walks into our yard, we're constantly throwing the football around and doing those sort of things. I feel like that's what being part of the town and being neighborly and being like that is. Volunteer-wise for this town, I look forward to actually starting some new things. We have some volunteer things already in place. As we look through Granger Days, that kind of just reminds me that all those hardworking people at Granger Days are the ones that are letting me know that like all their hard work is some of those things are not being celebrated and rewarded. So I think to them, that was making them not want to volunteer and be a part of those things anymore. So with that communication and appreciative of the people that are here, we do a lot of build, which we need. I'm not saying we don't need all that, we do. We need to bring in businesses and that sort of stuff, but there's a lot of hardworking people doing stuff in this town that don't feel appreciated.
I said it at the top, but a couple things. So we started a 10 Square Minute Granger nonprofit a few years ago with the goal of bridging the gap, helping the community with projects. Raised about $50,000 so far on that. I was a founding board member for that charity. We meet once a quarter. So if you're a guy in the room, and the whole idea is we get 100 members, they pay $100 every quarter. The hope is that we have $10,000 to put toward a charitable project or a city project or some kind of project to help the community. So we bought pitching machines for the baseball team. We've donated money to the food pantry here. A lot of good work there. Again, as Clint talked to, I've coached every sport under the sun. I've also, since COVID, we've kind of kicked up our economic development nonprofit. So I'm the president of that, and that's basically taking local Granger businesses and giving them some resources, giving them some information, and hopefully bringing new members in and striving for development. So again, we have a members only meeting coming up for that. Again, we meet quarterly with the board, but any business member can join. So please, if to Clint's point, you aren't feeling appreciated or you feel like your voice isn't being heard, please reach out and contact me. There's tons of positions available. We have 2 Parks and Rec Board positions available right now. You can get on the park board tomorrow and make a difference with the city. Right? So believe me, come talk to us. We can put you to work. We've got a lot of great people volunteering, but we need more. Right? So one of the things for Granger Days that we talk about, Granger Days, Christy's from Polk City. She does outstanding work with that. But there should be a bunch of Polk City volunteers for Granger Days, right? It should be us doing that. So how can we do better? So thanks.
All right, Chris, this is a tough one. If someone asked you, why should I move to Granger, what would your response be?
It's a great community. One of the things that I tell everybody all the time is on our street, we have 8 or 9 kids that are all around the same age. On a summer day, my daughter will wake up eventually, and by about 10 or 11 o'clock, she leaves the house, and we don't hear from her again most of the time until summertime. She has as close to the childhood that I had as I think is humanly possible right now. In the world we live in, that is rare at best. So just having a community where you can walk outside, you've got people, anybody you encounter is going to be nice 90% of the time. And a place where you can feel safe with your kids and your family is the biggest selling point of this town.
What did I say?
I would say, being the new person that did move here recently in the last couple of years, that I was looking for a small community to have that small town feel where you could go outside and talk to any of your neighbors around, and everybody would just be friendly. And that's what I feel like we have here. I mean, just coming here and not really knowing anybody, that's up here at the tables. I got to talk to them for a few minutes, and no one didn't talk to me. They were all friendly and open with me, and I think that's great. And then obviously when you're on the Facebook pages and everything like that, you know, people are passionate about this town and do want it to thrive. So I think we definitely have some great things coming. I think we just need to all work together, and I think this will be a great town. It is a great town.
Okay.
Dan, did you get an answer?
Oh, no, sorry.
What would you say? Why Luther Granger?
You know, both of these gentlemen kind of hit the nail on the head. In 2011, in my opening comments, I shared with everybody, we had the ability to move to any community around the metro we wanted to. We looked diligently, quite comprehensively at Ankeny. Thank God we didn't move there. But we chose Granger. We walked into the house, looked right out the back door, and across 17 was cows. And I thought my wife was going to, she was very excited. And I knew we were home. And since then, I've learned who the people are. And we have the best people. If you want a small community of like-minded people where your kids can go out, by the way, she's in my house, where your kids can go out and you don't have to worry about them because you know they're within a 10-block radius of your house, welcome to Granger. We've got houses available, we've got lots available, and we've got a lot going for us. So, you're all great.
Okay. Kind of a personal one here for Tony. I think you're first. What are the top three qualities, skills, or experiences that you feel make you qualified to serve as mayor?
Well, I'll just go to my handout, right? So on my handout that I have, and I have some if you didn't get one, but there's three things on there. There's commitment is the first one. So to me, a mayor's got to be committed. This is hard work. There have been, I spoke at the Moss Grand opening 4 hours on a Saturday. I spent 2 days vacation from my job to go to Economic Development Conference recently. I've met with a developer on the public safety building. I've done all this outside of my normal mayor duties like in the last 30 days, right? So this is a demanding position. There's a lot going on. You have to be committed to work hard in the role. So commitment. The second thing I put is progress. So I always say be a kangaroo because I like to move forward and keep improving. So my second thing would be progress. We've done some great things in this town, fantastic things. We are set up so good for 20 plus years based on a lot of the work that the team's done. Council, Kirk, myself, everybody. It's been a team effort and we're in a really good position. And then the third one's leadership. So I feel like I do things professionally. I do things the right way. We do things here the way they should be done. And for me, it's important to have honor, to have integrity, and to really lead our people the right way. So we created a vision for the city. That's how we live. Citizen service excellence, culture of collaboration, and personal and professional development. That's what I believe. That's what I lead, and that's how we do things here.
The first two will be covered by what I opened with. My parents taught me a long time ago to work hard and be a good person. I know this job will be hard, and I'm going to work hard if elected to make sure that I can fill the shoes of Tony. The good person thing. We got a lot of people around this town that I would say I'm beyond neighborly to. I'm the first person to jump at the help that anybody needs, whether they ask it or not. I'm the guy that's out there shoveling your walk, walking back from getting an oil change, and stopping and helping elderly people shovel their walks. I'm always about working hard and being a good person. The other thing is transparency. You're never not going to know what I'm thinking. You're never not going to be able to come to me and be like, well, I don't know if I can talk to him. I don't know if he's going to address my questions. Maybe I should go the other way. That's not going to happen.
Okay, this will be the final question for our council candidate. And this will be partially or even wholly addressed this already, but how long have you lived in Granger? What community activities have you been engaged in, and what was your personal participation in those?
Sir? Okay. We closed on our house April 25th, 2011. Painted the house. My hand hurt for a week, and then we moved in a week after that. So since then, as I mentioned, I was in leadership at the Methodist Church for just about a decade. And also during that time, after having kids, coached Bam Bam, my daughter's softball team for 3 years. Let's see here, what else have I done? Opened up a couple of the children's programming that's around town. Helped Heidi open up Clover Kids and volunteered at that for 2 years. That's Dan, I guess.
I've been here for 14 years and been involved in a lot of different coaching with my daughter's sports, helped coach softball, somehow got coerced into coaching soccer, which I knew nothing about, by Joe. So just been involved in a lot of different activities like that.
So I'm the newbie. I've been here for 2 years in July. I've gone to Granger Days and stuff like that, but I haven't really had a chance to actually actively participate in the community. But definitely look forward to doing so in the future, and hopefully there'll be additional things that we can do too in the city besides just Granger Days.
All right. Final question. I'll start with you, Tony. What are 2 things that you are the most proud that you and the city council accomplished together over your terms?
There's a lot of stuff we've done. If I had to narrow it down to 2 things, the one thing I would say is we've been able to manage our growth, manage our debt service, and our city levy is lower, significantly lower really than it was when I became mayor. So managing fiscally our debt, our growth in relation to what it actually the bottom line cost to you all is. And then the second thing I think is just the economic development. Specifically Fairway, I think that's going to just jumpstart our community in a way that is going to be phenomenal. I can't wait. We've already had some people say they can't wait to build once Fairway opens. So if I'm looking at the 2 things that are the strongest for me, I think personally, it's managing our growth via our city levy that's lower than it was when I became mayor, and bringing businesses like Fairway down.
All right, Clint, and you probably already answered this, but I know you said why you want to become the mayor, but what specific changes, if you name just a couple specific changes that you would like to bring into the town?
Well, I'd start with the transparency and the reliability piece. I think the planning and zoning committee has done a fantastic job of laying out the future. I think Fairway was economically smart when they planned out being here. As I've left Johnson daily the past 5 years, that 141 road is just heavily traveled, and all that traffic is coming our way. So I think Fairway was smart for building here. They're going to probably pick up the Maverick crowd. Hopefully my parents won't be driving to Woodard City anymore. They'll come here. The Woodard folks that come here, they can stop on the way back. It'd be a great opportunity for our kids to be able to get employed and work right here in the town, not going into town for those things. And what was the last part of that?
Just the main changes you want to bring to the town.
Well, I think changes-wise, it's that voice, it's that person you can look at and talk to at any given time. I think you're going to see me around quite a bit, I hope, whether I win or not. I hope you'll say hi. I hope we can have courageous conversations about the moving forward of this town. And hopefully all of you want to be a part of that, along with my friends right here.
Great. Well, thank you for your answers, everyone, and for your questions from the public. It's now time for closing statements, and we'll just go in the reverse order of the way we started. So, Chris, please.
3 things. First of all, thank you for everybody coming. It's great to see so many people here because it shows that everybody's excited and wants to be a part of what's going on here. We're at a very pivotal point in this town. The change that I've seen since I moved here has been unbelievable, but we're only getting started. And I'm very excited about the future of this town and what we have to offer and what we're going to see over the next handful of years. So thank you everybody for coming, and I hope to get a lot of support in November.
Let's see here. What don't you know about me already? 6'1". I'm a Gemini. No, I'm just kidding. I really feel like Granger has a very good foundation to build from. I don't want to lose sight of what Granger is in building what it will become. And I hope that I can be an arbiter to that for you. But as a representative of you, you're going to hold me accountable, and I'm going to hold you accountable. If anybody ever has any questions, concerns, comments, or experiences that you think can help me in this role for you, reach out. Communication is free, and it's always the most effective tool we've got to build everything going forward. As I mentioned, Heidi and I built our lives here. We built our lives to this point, and we have our future here as well. I'm certainly not getting rid of the interest rate on the house that we've got right now because they're still north of 7 or 6%. So, no, we're not moving. But yeah, if you guys ever have any questions, I'm an open book. Always have been, always will be.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for coming. It definitely shows that you guys are all invested. I just plan on digging in deep and learning all that I can in the next coming years, just to figure out, what we can do to help make this town better. I mean, we definitely have a good base, and it is doing nothing but growing. We just need to make sure we do so responsibly and make sure we're thinking, long term as well. I think there's definitely a lot of work to be done, and just know that you need to be patient with everybody because change doesn't happen overnight. It's definitely going to be progress and take time in the future. But yeah, I mean, we decided to move here. Out of all the towns in the surrounding area, I think it's a great town. It's what we like. We don't plan on leaving anytime soon. So yeah, I just want to be a part of the positive change that we have. So just make sure you get out and vote. Make sure, when we have things like this, show up like you did tonight. And make sure you keep, that open communication with us, and we'll try to do better at keeping that with you guys.
I think as wins, I want to thank everybody for coming out and doing everything that we did. My friends and family that have supported me along this way. This has been a tough road to try and short. But I will tell you, as mayor, being visible and transparent, that's the number one thing I've heard from people, is being visible and transparent. I know there'd be a lot to learn. I know Kirk would be a great mentor. He's done a fantastic job. The groundwork is laid, right? I want to be your mayor in order to see some of the future.
Yeah, echo, thank you guys all for coming and showing up. What I've heard tonight has been very helpful for me. So my ask, I guess, as we move forward here would be, please give me some specifics, right? We've heard communication, we've heard transparency, we've heard, that's what we're lacking. Please tell me. I'm begging for people to give me some specific examples. What didn't you feel you had proper transparency with? What can we as a city do better to communicate with you, right? Those are buzz terms, and I get it, and they're great, but if there's apparently a lot that I'm not picking up from folks, so you have to tell me, right? I can't read the folks' minds. So if there's something that you feel that you haven't been heard, or you don't feel appreciated, or what have you, please communicate that with me. Again, 100% response to emails, 100% response to calls, texts. That's what I'm here for. That's literally my job, right? So I want to get you guys in a position where you're confident. We've done so many great things with the city. The other thing I took away tonight is we've got to get better telling our story. Because let me tell you, we are 99% positive. We are 99% positive here. No doubt about it. So thank you all for coming.
That brings our public election forum to a close. Let's thank the candidates.